Hello everyone, my name is Anaïs Ollagnier and I'm presenting the paper I got accepted at the LREC 2022 conference entitled CyberAgressionAdo-v1, a dataset of annotated online aggression in French collected through a role-playing games. This paper was written in collaboration with the Dr. Elena Cabrio, the Dr. Serena Villata, and the Professor Blaya. Before to start, just to warn you that this presentation contains examples of language which may be offensive to some listeners. They do not represent the view of the author. Nowadays, there is a growing number of cyber aggression episodes occurring online, especially among teens. The web and social media platforms are raising concern about the ethical use of technology and expose people to counterproductive and unsafe interaction that puts their mental health and well-being at high risk. Due to these serious consequences reported on the victims, there is an urgent need in providing solutions in monitoring and preventing cyber aggression online. Defined by Grigg in 2010, cyber aggression consists of intentional harm delivered by the use of electronic means to a person or a group of people, irrespective of their age, who perceive such acts as offensive, derogatory, harmful, or unwanted. In this context, the NLP community made effort in proposing automated methods to address the task of XP detection. Most solutions consist of supervised approach relying on annotated data extract from social media. However, recent studies have highlighted that private instant messaging platforms are major medium of cyber aggression among teens. Due to the app policy, very few datasets composed of aggressive online chat are available for the computational analysis of language. To overcome this limitation, we present the CyberAgressionAdo-v1 dataset containing aggressive multi-party chat in French collected through a role-playing game in high school and annotated at different layers. Contributions are twofold. First, we participate in exploring diversity in abusing language content and cyber aggression practice by realizing a new source. Second, we introduce role-playing games as a means to collect naturalistic interaction, allowing to overcome data access restriction. Indeed, most of the datasets used to train automated methods are extracted from a range of online space, such as Twitter and Wikipedia. However, this kind of easy-to-access data does not reflect all situations in which cyber aggression occurs. Cyber aggression occurs also on private instant messaging platforms, especially among teens. Due to the private nature of verbal exchange on this app, very few datasets collecting aggressive conversation targeting a specific group of victim or victim are available for the computational analysis of language. In addition to the use of role-playing game, we have overcome data access restriction and collected naturalistic interaction relying on authentic language used in cyber aggression situation. Indeed, the spontaneity of multi-party chat does not allow much time to extrapolate, and the role-play data are similar to the naturalistic interaction. The main challenge were first to create scenarios mimicking cyber aggression situation occurring among teens, and then establish a clear taxonomy with meaningful and theoretical sound categories aiming at developing automated methods to curb online abusive behavior. In order to create accurate scenario, we have collaborated with a sociologist and expert in education science who proposed scenario based on previous real experiences reported by young people of the same age. The collected conversation have been annotated considering several layers as participant role, the presence of hate speech, the type of verbal abuse present in the message, and whether utterance use different humorous figure device. For the record, with this paper, we promote role-playing games as a means to collect realistic data. Here, as a part of cyber aggression situation involving sensitive topic, we explore new annotation layer to better capture cyber aggression practice in this kind of source, such as verbal abuse and humor. As a result, we have released a fully annotated dataset in French aimed at training computational methods to identify abuse behavior in multi-party chats. Concerning the data collection, we carried out the data collection finds in 3 French high schools. Our intervention in school was part of a broader framework for raising awareness to cyber aggression and hate speech and give students additional means to understand the phenomenon firsthand. Each student was provided with a computer to work on and had to connect to an IRC chat with the name of his/her character in the game. Each roleplay lasted at 45 minutes. Teachers were present in the room, but they never participated in the chats. Used scenario address common cyber aggression topic, including cyber hate related to ethnic origin, religion and obesity, and homophobia. The situation were selected on the basis that findings show evidence that overweight and LGBT plus students are more at risk to be discriminated and cyberbullied, and that cyber hate based on origin and religious is one of the types of victimization that increased the most these last decades. As a part of the proposed role-playing games, we adapt the categorization introduced in spring 2018 by assigning 5 types of active role involved in aggression. The first one is bully, person who initiates the harassment. The second one is victim, person who is harassed. The third one is bystander defender, person who helps the victim and discourages the harasser. The fourth one is bystander assistant, person who takes part in the action of the harasser. And the last one is conciliator, which is a common friend, the bully and the victim, mediating the disagreement among active participants. An additional participant, the moderator, was reading the chat in the passive way to ensure that the exchanges messages among students were following the rule of the role-playing games. Given that the role-playing game represents a protect space to experiment cyber violence, we avoid students to impersonate the bully. Victims were always impersonated by young researchers of our teams that were not physically present in the experiment room. The students were randomly assigned a scenario and a role independently of the gender. Concerning the data description, in total, we have collected 19 conversations. As we can observe from the donut chart, 20% address the problem of homophobia, 35% the problem of obesity, 15% the problem of religion, and 30% about ethnicity. Following findings about online hate showing that cyberbullying and discrimination against obesity and ethnic origins had increased most in the previous year, we have decided to increase the number of role-playing games on this topic. We annotate the collected conversation according to 5 independent annotation layers. The first one is the role of the message's author. These role labels are used both to annotate the role of the message's author and the role of the target. The second layer is about the role of the individual target by hate speech and or verbal abuse. The third layer is about the presence of hate speech as a binary categorization, hate speech or not hate speech. The other layer is about the type of verbal abuse. We have identified 5 types of frequently occurring type of verbal abuse in written language. So the first one is blaming. So this type of verbal abuse makes the victim believe that they are responsible for the abusive behavior or that they bring the verbal abuse upon themselves. For instance, in French, on la traiterait pas de truie si elle avait pas autant de graisse. In English, we wouldn't call her so if she had less fat. The second type of verbal abuse is name calling. So this is about abusive, derogatory language or insults that chip away at the target's self-esteem. For instance, take un putain de mon gueule. In English, you are a fucking retard. So the other type of verbal abuse is threat. This is a statement meant to frighten, control, and manipulate the victim into compliance. For instance, je vais venir en bas de chez toi, tu vas voir qui va plus parler. In English, I'm gonna come at your place and you will see we're gonna not talk anymore. Another type of verbal abuse is denigration. So this is an harsh remarks meant to make the person feel bad about themselves and are not constructive but deliberate and hurtful. For instance, in French, qui comme toi ça me dégoûte. In English, girl like you disgusted me. And the last type of verbal abuse is aggression others. This is the content corresponding to other type of abusive, derogatory language or insult, deliberately harmful, not fitting in the other category. For instance, va crever en enfer. In English, go die in hell. So the last layer we annotated in the released dataset is whether a message contains some form of humor. The annotation relies on a binary categorization, namely humor and non-humorous. Let's zoom. So concerning the bar chart on the left, this figure reports the proportion of interaction between participants showing the direction of the exchange. For instance, from the writer to the target. So as you can observe on the top of each bar, there is abbreviation. So let's consider the first one, BDBAs. It means from bystander defender to bystander assistant. We can observe a greater asymmetry in the proportion of interaction between both bullies and the assistant towards the victims. Conversely, the word exchanges between bystander defender and both the bully and their assistant is balanced. This figure contributes to better understand participant role of involvement in online aggression situation. Here, the victims are clearly overwhelmed by bullies, bystander assistants. In contrast, bystander defender react accordingly to aggression perpetrated against themselves or the victims. Concerning the figure on the right, it presents a proportion of verbal abuse targeting both victim and bystander defender across topic. According to the topic, we can observe different victimization practice relying on the use of specific or combination of types of verbal abuse. For instance, aggression against individuals based on their ethnicity or their weight rely mainly on the use of denigration. Concerning the conversation involving aggression against individuals based on their religion or their sexual orientation, there is a proportionate distribution between denigration and aggression other, as well as name-calling in homophobic situation. The proportion of threat is also significant in some scenarios, especially those about ethnicity and obesity. Concerning ethical issues involving students in a research about sensitive topics such as cyberaggression and cyber hate raise ethical implication. All students under the age of 18 were asked to participate, providing their submitted a parental consent form. Parents were sent an explanation letter informing them on the objective of this research, the use and management of data, and the associated potential risk. All students participating in the role-playing game were informed about the objective of the study, the potential benefit of using IA to detect online unseen messages, and the relevance of basis our research on their participation. The researcher made the European ethical requirement as well as their university. The school involved in the data collection have a psychologist in charge of catering for students in need. The administration board of each school examines the study requests and protocol and gets their assents. Students were also provide some information about the agency and resource adults but to provide assistance in case of trouble. To conclude, this poster presents the dataset of annotated online aggression in French we have released aiming at developing automated method to curb abusive behavior online. The study performed on this dataset allowed to observe frequent common patterns in cyberaggression practice. This study highlights the existing link between the use of certain aggression bullying method and different aspects, such as the topic on which the victim is targeted or who is involved in the interaction. Indeed, we have noticed a propensity in using hate speech to target individuals based on their sexual orientation, while aggression against overweight people are spread using humorous devices. Concerning religion, both hate speech and humor are used equally. Interaction involving both victim and bully are characterized by the use of denigration and name-calling utterances. Furthermore, aggression other is the most frequent type of verbal abuse used by bystanders from both sides. This outcome opened multiple research directions for research in NLP, leveraging the potential of automating the identification of aggression bullying methods in order to better understand and curb online cyberaggression among teens, especially in the context of private and instant messaging platforms in which cyberaggression occurs the most. Our data collection is still ongoing, and additional sessions in French high school are scheduled in the next months, allowing us to increase the size and variety of the released dataset. This work is carried out in the context of the UCA IDEX OTCA project, Artificial Intelligence to Prevent Cyberviolence, Cyberbullying and Hate Speech Online, and the UCA Academy 1 project. And it has also been supported by the French government through the 3IA Côte d'Azur investment in the future project managed by the National Research Agency. Thanks for your attention.